Versatile Mage. Chapter 581. Stepping out of the walls. Young men should make more contributions so you will stand out in front of the higher-ups, giving you unlimited possibilities. Yao Nan was different from the other magicians. Even after setting foot in the land full of undead, he was still able to smile calmly. Mo Fan was the same, too. Even though he was against the idea of joining the war, it did not mean he would simply shit his pants once he was involved. The number of powerful demon beasts he had fought was not any lower than those encountered by an advanced magician. But he was still not satisfied with the situation. Society obeyed the rule of law. How could they simply ignore his rights? Even if they wanted him to join the war, they could have just convinced him nicely or promised him some benefits, and he would have been more than happy to join. The situation was going to turn chaotic once the battle started. He was only filling in the numbers since he could not make any difference in deciding the outcome. He had no trouble running if he could not win the fight. Magicians with the shadow element were able to move freely in the night, like a fish in water. The little guy on your shoulder seems more excited for the operation than you. All right, Vice Captain, I'll leave these arrogant and obstinate magicians to you. An advanced magician like me isn't the kind of brilliant leader that will try to save you when you're surrounded by a bunch of low-level undead. I'm only responsible for dealing with the commander-level undead. Remember, if a commander level inflicts any damage on you, even if we win the battle in the end, I'll still perform a harakiri and apologize to you. But if I see you kids being lazy and not giving it your all, hinted Yao Nan as he glanced at Mo Fan. The first half of his speech was uttered indifferently, but the second half was spoken in an icy and stern tone. All right, don't try and scare me with that. Since I'm already here, unless the war is as good as lost, I won't run away. What do you mean by as good as lost? Like you shitting your pants when you see a few warrior-level undead. Jiang Li's annoying voice appeared out of nowhere again. I will make the call myself, said Mo Fan. I think you're just trying to find an excuse to be a deserter, Jiang Li said disdainfully. Mo Fan was too lazy to argue about the bottom line of his morality with the brainless guy whose figure was glowing from the layer of pig fat on him. He took out a fire soul seed piece from his pocket and snapped it in half. He fed one half to the little flame bell on his shoulder, who was close to humming songs in her good mood, and put the other half in his own mouth and munched it. In the past, whenever he was deep in thought, he loved to munch on a stalk of green foxtail. His gloomy, dispirited, and indifferent character even made a beauty like Mu Ningzhu fall for him, and she asked him to run away with her. People had long said that women were as difficult to deal with as wars, so Mo Fan thought he should act natural and unrestrained, just so no one would know that his heart was beating faster. He had to say that undead were more terrifying than demon beasts. Not only were they surrounded by darkness, but the endless undead would also come out from the ground beneath them, leaving them with no sense of security. The further away they were from the walls, the more the magicians began to panic. Mo Fan assumed that he had the strongest mind on the team apart from Yao Nan, hence if he was having such a reaction, the rest of the magicians would feel their legs shivering and be on the verge of wetting their pants. 34. Only 15 more until 49. The only good thing about joining this battle is providing me an opportunity to collect enough soul essences, Mo Fan said as he gave the soul seed piece covered in his saliva, that he had been munching on like chewing gum until it had lost its flavor, to the little flame bell on his shoulder. The little flame bell did not mind her father's disgusting act. She simply swallowed it as if it were pudding. The swaying flame erupting from her figure was a clear sign that her mood had further improved. Suddenly, the little flame bell uttered a long, slightly piercing cry. Mo Fan and the little flame bell were bound to one another through a contract signed with their souls, hence he could understand what the little flame bell was trying to say. He frowned and glanced at the icy black land nearby alertly. The place was covered in wilted grass. The temperature was lower, as it was now approaching winter. Even though there had yet to be snowfall, the land around the ancient capital was pretty much barren. The wilted weeds were swaying slightly. The dried ground began to crack open slowly, so weak that it was not making any noise, yet the observant little flame bell noticed the difference, letting Mo Fan notice it too. Something's there, Mo Fan told Yao Nan. Yao Nan had assigned Mo Fan to be the vice-captain of the team. Therefore, Mo Fan had 30 intermediate magicians under his command. As a responsible captain, Mo Fan hoped that everyone would be able to finish the operation unharmed. It's not coming out. Yao Nan waited for a while before urging the people to proceed forward, seeing that there were no undead coming out from the loosened ground. Could it be an ambush? Asked Mo Fan. Ha, kid, I think you've grown dumber, spending too much time in your institute. Undead are only a bunch of brainless creatures. Even if there are only 1 or 2 of them, they will still attack a super magician boldly. I don't think they have brains to set up an ambush, said a man with a scar in the shape of a cross on his face. Is that so? I've encountered undead that know how to ambush us, replied Mo Fan. The real undead, even the officials and rulers among them, have no intelligence at all, said Yao Nan confidently. Mo Fan stopped commenting further, yet he kept recalling the undead kid that Lu Ru had mentioned to him. That being said, Mo Fan did not realize that the two incidents were related. He simply realized the truth behind the undead that had ambushed Hua village all of a sudden, yet he was still confused by a question. Where are the light magicians we are supposed to protect? Asked Mo Fan. They will be here later. The other teams are distracting the undead army. I bet our superiors are waiting for the perfect time to strike, to kill that undead emperor, said a soldier with a square face. Which means, if Zhu Meng and the others fail to kill the undead emperor, we're pretty much trapped among the undead army. Asked Mo Fan. That would be the case, but as long as we can eliminate the White Serene Ghost officials, they will surely kill the undead emperor, and they will send backups, too. Even without backups, the super magicians are more than enough to wipe out the undead army. Zhou Ming seemed fairly confident that the plan would work. You're scared, but I don't think you're that kind of person, said Mu Bai. I just don't like that my life isn't in my control, said Mo Fan. Who would like that? Agreed Zhou Ming. By the way, the undead only appear at night, so what are they doing during the day? Asked Mo Fan. Yao Nan turned around and said, I think if the government gives every undead's household access to Wi-Fi, they probably won't trouble us any further out of boredom. What? Isn't that funny? I'm just trying to ease everyone's nerves. Hee. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.